What are you looking at? I'm just looking up the thing. What are you looking at? Try to find that. I feel like right now, try to find that balance.
Yeah.
Where it's not like that fake balance of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna live an enjoyable life and do this, but it's like, how can I make this as fun as possible while growing?
Yeah. Think about something you're really passionate about.
What's one thing that you feel like people can do to help slow time down a little bit and actually enjoy the faster you act upon it, the faster you get a result as well.
Yeah.
So it's like if you just keep procrastinating, time just keeps getting pushed back and back. Today's topic, what no one tells you about your 20s and 30s. Welcome back to episode 3 of the Perspectiv Podcast.
Okay, so starting off with today's icebreaker. If you had to give a TED talk on something you know way too much about, what would it be? Also, I know his answer to this.
You know my answer?
Yeah, I do, but I want to hear you first. But it cannot be business related or fitness related.
Yeah, that'd be mindset.
No, nothing to do with like what we talk about on this podcast. So not mindset, not fitness, no, not business, not relationships. What would the TED talk be about?
You know my answer?
Yeah.
I don't know my answer.
Just think. Think about something you're really passionate about.
People being too soft in this world?
No.
What am I passionate about?
I don't know. Think.
Oh.
Okay, should I tell you? Should I tell you what I think his one would be?
No, you tell me yours first and then give me time to think.
Okay, so honestly, I was really struggling. I don't know what my TED Talk would be about. It'd probably be about my favorite show, Desperate Housewives. And telling you all the ins and outs about it because I watched it like 5 times. If you've not watched Desperate Housewives, that's like the best show ever. Yours?
Wait, let me think.
Okay.
That's it? That's the end of your conversation about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would yours be
You
about?
don't think anything else. Think of something else.
I can't. I was sat there thinking I can't.
Food.
Maybe dance, maybe cooking, you know, but like if it was one specific topic.
What would I do?
Can I tell you?
Call of Duty?
No.
What?
No. Can I tell you?
Yeah, tell me.
Okay.
I can't think of anything.
His would be about his favorite artist, Sidhu Musiala, because he
Yeah.
talks about him non-stop. Once he starts, he does
Yeah.
not stop. So that's what yours would be about. Because you could go on and on.
Yeah. But I feel like it would just lead to like mindset and stuff like that after that.
Yeah, but like the main thing would be about him.
Yeah.
You don't think so? I think so.
Yeah, that'd be
On the
something.
weekends, when he's
would I talk
winding down, he'll sit there for a good hour just like watching motivational videos about him and
Yeah,
like
but you like
YouTube
took all my
videos.
options out. Not business, not
I know.
mindset,
It was
not
meant to be
fitness,
interesting.
not...
It was meant to be
Yeah, but it would be
interesting.
around those things
Yeah,
most
of
likely.
course. But that's what I think, at least.
Living a happy life. But I guess it goes into mindset.
Yeah, okay. Let's move on.
Cool, so our topic for today, 20s and 30s. So I think the biggest thing with 20s and 30s is you just feel like time flies.
Yeah.
Obviously people later in, 40s and 50s probably say the same thing, but it's just like, I'm only 26, but like every 12 to 36 months in my life and the people around me and people older than us, there's been a big change, right? You're going from school, like, being in university and then post-grad if you decide to, or college, whatever you decide to do, and then finding a job. Some people struggle to find one, some find one right away. Some people start a business at some point within their 20s and 30s, not everyone, but that's a big change. After finding a job, probably getting married, right? Some people, again, having kids right after that. You have like a big financial instability period. You're trying to find your own stability from relying on your parents to now being, an independent person. So much, right? Managing a household, whatever it might be for you if you decide to move out. So there's so much so many little changes that happen, honestly, every 6 to 12 months even for some people because of how often a lot of these things happen.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how do you balance all that, right? How do you feel like you feel like you don't even get a chance to breathe between it and then the next thing's happening? I don't think it's a problem though. It's like a lot of growth, but it's like, feels like it's just happening so fast.
Yeah. I think as you get older as well, time just flies a lot more.
Yeah.
I remember having this conversation with someone about how when you're younger, you're just more present. You know, you're playing with your toys, you're being a lot more present in the moment.
Yeah.
But then as you grow up, you're just chasing after the next thing, after the next thing.
You're thinking about the next thing while in the now.
Yeah, and then that's just how time flies by, right? You're not actually present in that moment and soaking up what you're doing or how you're feeling. So I think that's a big thing too.
Yeah. I think a big thing with slowing down is also like the dopamine side as well. Because you're constantly spiking, you're craving these novel experiences. The same things don't bring that same level of significance. So you're just like, oh, what's the next? What's the next?
Yeah.
So you're chasing constantly.
Yeah. But what do you, like, out of your life, what do you think, or when do you think the hardest time was?
Hardest time?
Like the most challenging, yeah. Like, do you have a particular moment where you're like, oh, that was like a hard time?
Yeah, I would say like end of 2021, from the point you moved, having to deal with like nonsense related to the business and, you know, all these things.
Okay, so like
I think that was the hardest. 2021 to like end of 2022. I think it was
that's
like
when you were like transitioning from being just a kid at home to now being in a relationship and then having to think about work and business.
Yeah,
so
I think there was like multiple
transition.
things. I think it was like, okay, business is real.
Yeah.
We're struggling financially like a lot.
Yeah.
Trying not to let the business go under. We're both being supported off the same kind of financial source, and the source is making no money.
Yeah.
New to the country, having to, you know, you rely on me, I rely on you kind of thing. Like, yeah, I think that was the hardest transition period.
I think for most people though, regardless of, you know, if you start your own business or not, it's always that transition from, okay, school ends, now what am I doing with my life? What is my passion? Like,
unless again you like somebody that just like goes straight into work and it's just
like my brother.
Yeah, and like that's it. Like you're working, especially I think corporate people, like you're just working up the ladder, which again is perfectly fine. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just like those people just have a little bit more of like, they don't have to think about that side as much, unless like that's actually a benefit to them, right? Unless they're just like, I hate this, then you're like back on that hamster wheel again, where you're trying to figure out what the heck do I do now.
Yeah, and then also finances fall into play as well at that point, because you need to be more independent. You're not reliant on your parents anymore, and that can be
especially again if you don't end up within that sequence of like job and then working up the corporate ladder, you're stuck with either trying to figure out your job, getting a job, or finding a job that pays you well enough. And then whatever, if you have student loans or whatever it might be. So that's tough. But what's one thing that you feel like people can do to help slow time down a little bit and actually enjoy the years? Because honestly, a lot of people, they'll say it, right? Like your 20s and 30s, they never come back, right? So even me, like sometimes like, crap, I wish I was more present during even 2021, 2022, when you came down, we just started the business. I wish I was a little more present, right?
Even now, I think we both sometimes catch ourselves because you're just working, and you're like, oh my gosh, where did time go?
Try to find that. I feel like right now, try to find that balance. Where it's not like that fake balance of like, oh yeah, I'm gonna live an enjoyable life and do this, but it's like, how can I make this as fun as possible while growing?
I think there's a couple things. One is just slowing down, like I said, being more present in the moment. So
how do you do that?
Meditating.
Okay.
And being
what if someone
more
doesn't like
appreciative.
meditation?
I mean, you always have to give it a try.
I don't know why I'm interrogating you. Okay.
No, you always have to give it a try. There's this one, I like to give my clients this recommendation. There's this show on Netflix called the
Headspace one.
Headspace. And it's basically each episode is about half an hour long, and the first 20 minutes is going through a scenario. You basically just watch the episode, and the 10 minutes at the end, or however long it takes you through a meditation. But the meditation isn't just like sit and breathe and you know, because that can be hard for some people. It takes you through a scenario. So I remember one episode was about how he guided the TV presenter guided you through a meditation. You were sat by a highway and you were looking at the cars and imagining the cars as your thoughts. Watching them come and go rather than feeling like you need to empty your mind. So that's always a good starter meditation for a lot of people, but that really helps.
Let's say that doesn't work for them. What would you recommend? Something else? I'm not saying it doesn't, but there's some people that are like anti-meditation. I'm never going to do it. Because obviously there's a barrier to entry in terms of having to sit there, struggle with your thoughts for a little bit. And a lot of people can't do that. So what's the next thing?
Journaling. I think journaling really helps. So.
That's what I was waiting for you to say. Again, I think with this one is like, you'd be like, what the heck, what kind of nonsense am I doing? But just do it. Mind dump, or brain dump, whatever you want to call it. Take out a pen and paper, any thought, anything. It could be the most nonsense thing coming to your head.
Yeah.
Write it down. It's going to lead to a train of thoughts that lets you take everything that's in here, put it out there, and it just gives you a brief moment of like, you know, you just feel
even
good
affirmations, they can help too.
Yeah.
Because then you're just more appreciative with, life.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean, again, you don't need to shout affirmations in the mirror. That's just your self-talk, right? We all have self-talk.
Yeah.
So if you struggle with self-talk, find your 1 or 2 words that work well for you.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, because I'm not a big oh my God, you'll use affirmations. I think it's because people have a negative outlook on affirmations that it's just like, no, it's not really that. People, we already have thoughts in our brain. You're just trying to rewire through reprogramming and hard hitting and constantly telling yourself something new. It's a good way to do it, right?
I was telling Arinda how we need to stay on top of our check-ins too, because if we're not, then we're just moving with life with almost no purpose. The more you check in and you actually write down what you want to do throughout the day, the more conscious you're being.
Yeah, I think I struggle with that sometimes. I go through phases where I'm really good, but then phases where it's just kind of aimless, wake up, let me just hustle as much as I can and blah, blah, blah. But it's without that, checkpoint, it's what the hell am I doing? Why am I doing it? And then it's 2 weeks have gone by and I feel like I've done nothing, even if I have. It's there's no okay, I checked this off. That level of accomplishment almost slows things down for you. Versus okay, I got that done. Now maybe let me just go hang out for the rest of the day, right? Or let me go do this. Or I got these 7 things done this week. That was more productive than I aimed to be. So I think that that helps a lot.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. I think another thing that's really interesting about your 20s and 30s is everyone's life is just moving at such different paces that you just tend to be so different from other people, if that makes sense. People around me, there's so many people that I may not have a relationship with anymore just because your life is just at a different speed, right? Not faster or slower, but life comes in different ways, right? There's different aspects of life, and in certain ways you're just not able to connect to certain people anymore, right?
Yeah, I think, and there's nothing wrong with that. Your friends that you had when you were 16 years old, that's 10 years later from now.
You're probably going to talk to 1% of them, if not less.
What were you doing when you were 16? I don't even know half of the stuff I was doing. You're a different person at this point. So there's nothing wrong with having a new set of friends and wanting a new set of friends. There's been times where we've been, we've met up with friends and we're finding it hard to connect to them outside of just baseline, baseline conversations. It's hard to connect to people sometimes.
I think it's figuring out your balance. For me, if I'm hanging out with older friends, I feel like I can still keep up certain conversations, but it's not even about that. Sometimes it's just about keeping that friendship because of the bond that you've shared throughout your life. I know some people are cut people off, blah, 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 all this fake, again, it's just fake advice. It's no, that person played a very important part in my life, and I would still like to have them around. Doesn't mean maybe I don't hang out with them all the time now, just because that's just life, right? Versus there's people in your life that are okay, this is now the community I'm around now because these are the interests I have, or.
But you have friends for different reasons, right? I have some friends that I will see once a year, and it's just to catch up because again, like you said, you just want to keep that bond. Whereas some friends I have, and I talk to them every day because they provide me with something that I want, and I provide them with something that I want, and also you have that connection with them right now
based on your life right now, and it may not be the same in 10 years or 20 years. That's unfortunate, but that's kind of the cycle of life. And it's also I think cultivating that group of friends that you want, family, whatever it might be, people that you want around you, doing that intentionally, right? Because it's again, I think we'll have a podcast on living life intentionally, a full-on podcast in the future, but I think you just end up having the people around you that you really want.
Yeah.
As long as you're not willing to just settle like, oh, cool, yeah, this person's just around, let me just keep them around. It's like, no, these people support, you know, the growth that I want. They support me being me, right? I feel like one of my things, like comfort, I guess, place of comfort that you've created for me was just to be me, right? I feel like before it's like you're trying to keep up this image and I'm this person and blah, 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 versus like now I just feel comfortable being myself, like 95% more than before. Instead of like, again, having to keep up any sort of image. That, and again, I think along with whatever, like any kind of teachings and stuff through YouTube or meditation and things like that, I feel like I've just kind of like, cool, what is the point of keeping this fake front on and just
being authentic to yourself? When I was in university, I had a group of friends, but towards the end of university, I just found like I was on a different path. I guess like my interests changed, and my friends changed a lot. And at the time, I felt so bad about it. Like, oh, am I the one who's in the wrong?
No, but that's normal, right?
Now
again,
looking back, like it's led me to where I am now.
Yeah, and it's not that those people were bad or anything. It's just that's just, again, your interests just slowly don't align anymore, right? And it's just like, cool, sometimes I'm not having the same level of fun that I used to have. And it's like,
what it was,
it's just like, that's just, maybe that's just not me.
But I still appreciate the memories that we have. I look back and I'm like, wow, that was such a fun time.
Yeah, whatever part of your life it might be, like you probably had good times during that time. So that's why you had that. But it's just like, life just keeps flowing and it's like a river, right? It's like you're part of a different part of the river now because you spread that way. It's also like priorities change, right? It's like, were you just keeping those people around to have fun? But like, again, I still feel like I have certain friends where it's just like, we just have a whole bunch of fun when we hang out. And then we have some friends that are like, oh yeah, we're talking about business. Some friends we're talking about this. Different circles based on their interests and what you're kind of, certain friends is just fitness. And then at the same time, it's like, again, the relationships you want, whether it's your significant other, your family, your friends, whatever it might be, right? Even my parents, like relationship has changed significantly as they're getting older and I'm getting older. And it's like, I'm now able to talk about money and talk about life and talk about experiences. And I feel like even my like grandparents, I'll ask like a crazy question, which I wouldn't have had the courage to ask before, like random, like, oh, like what was your life experience like when you're blah, 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 right? And you just get like such an interesting response and you start to realize how they think. And oftentimes like, cool, like, wow, you faced that struggle in your life at that time. And it's kind of led you to think like this. And sometimes it's like, oh, that's really cool. I want to think more like that. Sometimes like, no, I don't want to think like that at all, right? Because like, oh, like whatever, you know, hardship you face has led you to believe this in your mind. And I'm like, you know, like.
I think when you're younger, you just look at them as like this big person and you can't ask questions like this. But then when you grow up, you're just like, they're living life just like I am.
Yeah,
like,
because you had so many expectations of them, like they're perfect. And once you actually get rid of that mindset, you can actually, because a lot of people, I feel like they get older and they just keep that mindset like my parents were perfect, or they may not think that, but deep down, because of the child in them, they still think parents were perfect and they take on so many habits and mindsets from them.
And you need to follow what they're doing. And
not need to, but they just intrinsically do it, like deep down, subconsciously. It's just like, that's just a path that they, and they live the same life as their parents. Versus like, oh, this person was just going along life with the best that they knew how to do. And they probably didn't know that well. You know, they didn't have the knowledge that even we have today. So if you're not willing to take on some of that knowledge and like become a better version of yourself, because you realize that like, I don't have to be a carbon copy of of my parents that went through completely different life, completely different generation, completely different hardships than I am going through, right? And then you can become your own person, attach on all these positives that your parents have, and it's like, cool, I think
you build more love within that relationship too.
100%.
Like more compassion.
Compassion. You can understand what is that empathy? Is that the word? Yeah, you have empathy because you're empathetic towards them, because you're like, oh, you were 26 years old or 21 years old having to go through this. And then you moved to this country, or you went and got this kind of job or whatever it might be at this age, and like, crap, I'm that age. What the hell did that feel like? That's what they were going through right now, right? It's just crazy.
It's insane.
So you just like start to realize like, from your parents, your friends, like all these things. Like relationships change, and that's okay, as long as you're willing to accept that. I think people is just holding on too tight to a boat that's already sailed. It's like, what the hell are you doing, right?
Yeah. I think I've learned that very recently.
Yeah, you struggle with that, especially moving. I feel like you try to attach to certain people that.
Yeah, like as soon as I am like someone, and I'm like friends with someone, and I just like I'm like truly in love with them. I'm just so attached to them, and it takes me a lot to detach. Yeah, which is something I need to work on.
Yeah. Sometimes I have to like tell you and like shake you and like, what are you doing, man?
Yeah,
like,
but then that's
in a negative way.
No, but it can be negative because that's led to me being pushed around a lot of the time too.
Yeah. No, I'm saying I didn't tell you in a negative way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But no, it can be negative because I feel like I've been pushed around a lot in certain situations when I look back.
I think when you start to get to that age where you start to have these realizations, oh, like my parents were this age, and not even that, but once you get out of university as a whole and people start moving at different paces and stuff, you just start to feel this like pressure, and like online they call it like hustle culture now, right? Which I'm a big fan of, but at the same time, like it can really mess with you mentally if you're mentally not strong and you don't have the right perspective on these things. You're gonna feel the pressure, right? For a long time, I feel like I had so much of that. It's like, oh crap, I'm not at this point yet. I'm not at that point yet. But once you like, start to accept that and like start to understand those things better.
But that also leads to overthinking. Like, oh my gosh, I'm not where I need to be. I need to be doing this, this, and this. And then you end up just overthinking, talking to yourself badly, and then not doing what you should be doing essentially. So, and I've seen that happen so many times. That's why I try my best not to fall into that. I try to see every day as like, okay, what do I need to accomplish today? What do I need to accomplish tomorrow? Because if I start looking at, like, Arinda's I want to look at the big picture. I need to look at what I'm doing day to day, which is fine. I think that's good because, we need both ends. But then we kind of bring each other back to where we need to be.
We balance each other out a little bit, Were you gonna say something?
No.
Yeah, I think like also understanding like awareness versus overwhelm. Like, am I aware of the fact that I am not here yet and it's gonna take me XYZ to get to this, goal?
Yeah.
Versus overwhelm of like, oh crap, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. And like, imagine trying to lose 100 pounds, but you're like, crap, I haven't lost 100 pounds yet. Right? You're not thinking about the 100 pounds. You're thinking about the 1 pound per week, 2 pounds per week, 3 pounds per week, whatever your goal is. Cool. Let me get the right numbers and metrics this week so I can get to that. Versus, again, a lot of people, they get overwhelmed by the end goal versus breaking down that bit by bit. And I think, again, so we sit in consultations with clients and they're like, oh, it's going to take me 6 months to lose 60 pounds. And I'm like, would you expect it to happen? Right? And they're like, oh yeah, but I'm like, you understand a month from now, you're going to be down like 8 pounds, right? And they're like, oh, but 8 pounds. I'm like, and then another month from now, you're going to be down a total of 12 or 18 pounds, whatever number it might be, right? Based on the client's consultation. And they're like, oh, okay. And but they're still thinking like that negative thinking is unfortunately leads a lot of people to getting nowhere. And they'll come year after year. Like I have had a consultation with someone today, 6 months from now, and another like 8 or 9 months from now, like in the past, obviously, and they're at the same exact place, if not they're in a worse place than before. And it's because every time we sit down, they're just like, oh, I have to do 6 months. Oh my God. What do you expect it to happen, right?
I also think it builds a bit of fear in people. I've seen how like someone might have a business idea and then they don't end up going ahead with it because they have this fear that, okay, but I need to be at this stage before I start this particular thing.
Or I can even mention it to anybody.
Yes, and it's like, no, just, go with the flow, go whatever feels right. There's no point in like, again, feeling like you're wrapped up in this culture and feeling like you need to please others or have people have this certain outlook of you. You just need to just do whatever you need to do. Life's going to keep going on and you're going to learn how to manage everything whilst life goes on.
This kind of gives me a weird thing of like the evil eye thing as well. It's like, I don't know, it kind of relates, kind of gives me like a thought of it. It's like people are like, oh yeah, but I don't want to say this or do this because I'm going to have an evil eye or someone's going to look at me and it's going to bring me down. But it's like, if you truly believe in willpower and your true self and any higher power, that power is so much stronger than any evil eye or anything anyone can ever be like, oh yeah, or try to like pull you down, because you know that you're on the right track and you're doing the right things. And then on top of that, you have the right plan, the right wisdom to get to there. And even if you don't, it's like you need to take that step now versus let me figure everything out, right? Versus like even with this, like we tried to like, oh yeah, let's try to perfect our podcast. No, it's like, let's put it out and let's see what we can improve on over time. Like we're so much more comfortable talking today, right? But it's just like, that's just
and just not having a timeline, right?
Patience,
like not feeling like you need to hustle now and then you can enjoy. I think we've also fallen into that trap. I guess with your own business it is hard because you do need to make sure that you're doing whatever you need to do now so that things don't just end up going down. But we have more of a balance now of, okay, no, we need to enjoy this time that we have now, because you know, from 4 and 5 years later, we might have kids, and then we're going to be like, oh, well, we didn't get to do all those things that we wanted to do.
And then you live a life of regret. And it's like, if you already have regret, time is right now to stop living with regret and start living from now to the next point and the next phase a lot better. And
everyone's timeline is different too. Even with, we have clients that, beautiful clients, like inside and out, and they're not married and they're very content, you know.
And their priorities might be different too, right? Maybe that's not what they want, and that's perfectly fine.
They're in their late 30s, and you know, and I admire that. I truly do admire that.
I think once you let go of judgment outside, like inside and outside, that's when you're just like, oh yeah, like people are just living how they want to live, and maybe that living doesn't align with my living, but they're happy, I'm happy, cool. I think one more thing I want to add on is like speed when it's your own business. And I think in certain parts of life as well, like the faster you act upon it, the faster you get a result as well. So it's like if you just keep procrastinating, time just keeps getting pushed back and back. And this the reason I'm saying this out loud is because this is my biggest struggle. Is like I feel like I can compress time now based on certain skill sets, but I still decide to like push them back and back. Obviously, there's so many skill sets that I still need to gain, but there's certain things where it's like if I implement this like right now in this exact moment, then I don't have to think about it on Friday. And then I don't have to think about it the next day. But sometimes there's like, oh, I'll do that tomorrow. Let me just do this small, easier task right now. And then it's like, that gets pushed another day. And then your entire week just starts flying by because you're looking still forward towards, oh, I need to get that done. And if you don't get it done, that lack of accomplishment leads to so much more like negative emotion. Again, sometimes you won't get things done. That's also like acceptance. But especially me, like it's like, okay, if I'm not acting upon things fast enough, then I feel like I'm not living presently and enjoying my day-to-day. Because when we talk about balance, I'm not like, oh yeah, I want to live this crazy life and blah, blah, blah. My balance right now is primarily growing a business, right? That's my heavy part of my focus, and having a good relationship and a good health. Like that's my 3 main areas of life that I care about. As of now, my heaviest focus is obviously, I don't know, between relationship and business. Like those two kind of go hand in hand, because if one's not good, the other's not good. Kind of. But it's like the goal is to balance those 3 parts or whatever number of parts you have going on based on what's more important to you, right?
And also your partner, because my priorities might be different to
So you do you, I do me.
But like also merging them together. Like if I want to go on a trip or something, you take out time
that's
for
different.
that.
No, I get that.
But essentially just designing your life so that you have your whatever priorities that you want to focus on, but then also adding in a little bit of fun too, so that you feel like you're just not missing out in life. Some people want to have fun in life and
some
travel
people
and
put
stuff,
fun first,
and that's okay. That's their priority, right? So whatever aligns with you, essentially.
How do you recommend people design their life? What is 2 things? I already have the answer in my head, but I don't know what I'm asking.
I think planning a yearly vision board helps with that. I personally, I've only done it once.
You did it last year.
Yeah, it was on my home screen as well. So I feel like I was looking at it all the time, you know, that I need to hit these goals. And we hit, not all of them, but we did hit a lot of them, because then you end up forgetting about it. Especially after New Year's is done, you know, the first January, February is done, then you end up just like falling back into your habits. So I think that really helps.
In our mentorship group, we have the end of year planner.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And it's like a 4-hour long meeting where we sit down on Zoom and we're just going through the end of the year planning.
One cool thing that we do during that is writing a letter to yourself in that moment.
Talking to your future self.
Yeah, talking to your future self. So I think a year later, and talking about the goals that you have, etc. And then seeing if we've hit those goals, but talking with compassion and love to yourself. Well, that's what I did at least. And also like motivation, etc. But it helps just to put everything in perspective and see what goals you've hit throughout the year.
That's the same thing as like, I think you sent it to me. It was like that Huberman thing where that goes aligned with another thing that I've seen. It's like you design your life and you visualize what your perfect day looks like ahead of time. Yeah. And then...
And it could like completely perfect. Like no limitations at all. Yeah. And then you start to actually implement certain things in your day-to-day without you even realizing it.
Yeah, and I think this is a good tip for people. It's like, this shows you your limitations. Yeah. Like you're going to see like, oh yeah, but that's not real. Imagine you could be unrealistic. Like don't imagine unicorns and you know what I mean? Like think of like material things, instead thinking about like actual things that bring you that real joy from deep down.
Yeah, like when I visualize, I'll visualize myself in a nice warm country near the water, making sure I have like my healthy drinks in the morning and I'm eating well. Then I get to plan, work out. So doing that, but then unintentionally, that's made me do those things more throughout my day to day.
Yeah, I think, if you visualize future self, take a step back and break down what does that future self do day to day and what are the actions they take day to day. And then you go into your visualization of me being that future self and doing those actions day to day. And that kind of sets you in tune to like, oh, I need to focus on this, and this. And you may not get it right now. Yeah. But that constant visualization just shows you what your days need to look like. Yeah. So again, in the mentorship group, we plan our year. Every quarter we review what we're doing. Yeah. And what we're tackling, 3 or 4 things, nothing crazy, just 3 or 4 major things that we're tackling for the next 3 months, right? And it just like gives you more like perspective on like, oh, this major thing of hitting 100 and something members is really just 5 a week, 4 a week, 3 a week, whatever it might be, 8 a week, right? Depends on your churn and stuff. And like, that's it, right? Yeah. And for my personal, it's like, oh, like we wanted to do content. And it's like, okay, that just means This is
the second time you've done that.
That's just like dedicating like a certain amount of time away from the gym to do this, and this. Yeah. Like we had a full day of content today, and it's like we're finally in our lives able to do that. Which before I was like so obsessed with working all the time that we didn't mentally have the capacity to do that. Yeah. Maybe time-wise we did, but mentally, right? Yeah. So it's like, I think that's growth.
Yeah. And then, and then with that point, in terms of health in your 20s and 30s, things change. Like when I was in my early 20s compared to now, my health has changed so much. And the things that I was doing in my early 20s, I'm not able to keep up with now. As simple as like going to sleep past 10 o'clock.
I think there's 2 parts. I think one, we've just set, like for the most part, other than like recently for myself, but for you and me, again, 6 months ago, like we're so into the routine of like waking up early at 5:30, 5:15, whatever it is, right? That it's just like, you can't not sleep, you know? Maybe, well, when I think back to it, I used to pull that off.
Yeah, I never did.
Yeah.
Sleep was like number 1 priority
Always?
my entire life. Yeah, but like I would be able to sleep in. Like now that's not an option, right? But my routine was just all over the place. But
before, could you function off less sleep? Or would that never happen for you?
Yeah. But the thing is, I now have gone through phases where I functioned off hardly any sleep for a long period of time. And that just wrecked my body. But when I was younger, I feel like I never had to do that. Because, I don't know, if I went out and it was late, I would just sleep in the next day. Like, it wasn't that.
For me, like I was always up late. I'd have caffeine late. Like I'm not a big caffeine person, but I used to have pre-workout a few times a week. And if I had it at 10 p.m., went to the gym from 11 to 12. I'd be asleep by 1 and wake up like 6, 7 a.m. the next morning.
I can agree with.
And I was just able to function and do that again the next day.
Yeah. I used to have like a cup of tea before I'd go to sleep all the time.
Yeah.
Because do you know what? Sometimes I think knowing too much messes
is
with
a
you.
problem.
Because when I was younger, I'd have a cup of tea all the time with some biscuits at night, and I'd go to sleep. But now, if I have a cup of tea, I'm like, I'm going to be wired. I'm going to stay up. I don't remember the last time I had a cup of tea at night.
Yeah, I think it's the same thing that we said last week. It's like stressing about stress or stressing about something just changes the way you think about it.
Like
completely.
Knowing too much is like not good for you.
I think it's good to know, but also don't be like overly like, oh, if this happens, it's the end of the world, blah, blah, blah. If you have caffeine at this time, just try your best, or whatever it might be, try your best. Like just don't even think about it.
Yeah.
The less you think about things, when they're off your regular pattern, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
But
even eating, my eating has changed so much. When I was in my early 20s, I was just eating whatever. I didn't care to eat a certain amount of protein. I mean, it's different for you. I feel like you're on top of your protein. But for me, I was just eating, like, my breakfast would be toast with butter and tea. Yeah. My lunch and dinner would be like pasta, whatever I wanted.
I also think people,
But to be fair, sorry to cut you off, I feel like a lot of people still do that. I think we're just more conscious. Like
that's what it is.
I think
because I think we also realize the difference it makes in our body.
Yeah.
And I think it's like a lot of people are like, oh yeah, but my recovery sucks, my sleep sucks, blah, blah, blah. But it's because they're not doing these things. So I think in your 20s and 30s, you can still recover at a very close pace to what you were when you were 18. You can probably still do a lot of things, like you were 18 or 20, right? But if you experience those things like optimization, then you're like, oh, I can still recover well, but we notice it when we're off.
Yeah.
That's I think that's our point, right? It's like we notice it when we're off versus if we're on it, it's just like...
Yeah, because even with clients, when they first come in, they'll, be eating just an average diet, not focusing on protein, just having like a lot of carbs,
Nothing,
whatever.
Not even protein, their micronutrient intake, their minerals, all these things are
and
just
then
so
like
off.
we'll tweak their nutrition and then they might fall off for a week and they're like, wow.
Yeah.
I felt so terrible that week. Oh my gosh. I don't know how I used to do this day to day. It's because you've just never experienced doing that. You've never changed anything.
Yeah. And we'll have clients at like 50 and then we make small changes like, wow, I feel like I have like energy of a 30-year-old or like when I was like 30 again, right? Or even like pains and aches. Like my level of pain in my body is like reduced a lot compared to when I was like 20. But I think it's from, I used to overtrain and like I wasn't as knowledgeable about movement and stuff like that. But I also think when you do get hurt, if you're not eating properly and stuff, then your recovery is slower, right? Yeah.
And then also with women, some people might disagree with this, but in a couple of years, I hope to have a child. I hope we would have a child. Okay. And I think it's so important to realize that you need to start taking care of your body years in advance. To me, if I'm bringing another life into this world, it's selfish for me not to create a healthy environment for that baby. Mm-hmm. So I need to do whatever I can.
On both sides.
Yeah, on both sides.
Yeah.
Like in terms of myself, I need to do whatever I can to create that healthy environment. I think it's really selfish, to be honest. This is just my view, but it's selfish for you to just do whatever you want and then just have a kid. And then, maybe the baby would have to deal with the consequences of that.
Yeah, I think you want to give it the best opportunity you can. I think, again, we're like so optimization. We're so hyper-focused on optimization that...
But don't get me wrong, some things are out of your control. Mm-hmm. I know in terms of health, it's not as easy as, ABC.
Yeah.
It's a lot harder than that. Some things can just happen, but at least I know I did whatever I can in that moment.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people also talk about metabolism and how it slows down. It does to an extent, but it's probably because you slowed down, right? Yeah. Like you're just not moving as much. Again, most people gain weight either in university or after university. The major changes that happen is a lot of people in university start to eat out a lot more. They're not eating home cooked food anymore. Way more calorically dense. Second thing is, let's say after university, because in university you still walk around campus, move around a lot, you're no longer moving, right? Your caloric burn, like even for myself, even though we coach every day, has went down, right? Because we're not walking around, we're not getting the same level of steps, same level of general activity. Outside of my workouts and coaching, the few hours that I coach, it's just like, I'm not really moving my body. But before, when you're in high school, you're walking literally all day between classes, in between, you know, lunch, whatever, right? You're constantly moving all day. So you go from playing in the evenings or whatever it is. So I think that's a big change in metabolism, is the lack of movement and the increase in calories. So if you wanted to be better with that, you would just try to move just generally a little bit more, right?
Yeah, moving, eating well, sleeping, and then also the last thing, stress. Just making sure your stress is like at a good level.
Because again, like these big changes throughout your life are going to cause the stress. But again, I think if you just think of like, oh yeah, like I want to age in a healthy manner, you start taking care now. And it's like, you can easily take care of it, but the problem is like most people don't. And like, again, we have people around us that it's just like, they feel like crap every day and they don't feel good. It's just like, okay, but what are you doing with your life, right? In terms of your health and your fitness. And most of them are just not doing enough. Just the small tweaks, right?
Like when you're in your early 20s, for most people, you don't really have many stresses in your life, you know? So as you do get older, your stress tends to increase, and you need to do things to help with that. You can't just act the same way you acted when you were 20 years old, you know? And that's what a lot of people tend to do. They just continue those habits that they've taken on and nothing changes, but then their stress is changing, and then, you know.
You can get away with a lot more earlier on versus later. I think that's the biggest changes, right? So that's what your 20s and 30s look like.
Okay, moving on to our question and answer. I have two questions here. One, someone asked, and the other one, I picked out the question. So we'll go with the one someone had asked me, which was, what's one thing about entrepreneurship that people glamorize but is actually hard? Can I go first?
Sure. Sure.
I think one thing is that people think or have this idea that with when you own your own business, that you have freedom of time. And I think to a certain extent that's true, but it doesn't make it any easier. And it is, it's very glamorized, because people think, oh, I want to work for myself, then I can manage my time, blah, blah, blah.
I think that's the first thing most people say. It's like, oh, I get to work on my terms.
Which is, quite frankly, the opposite, to be honest.
You work on other people, your customers' time. You are expected to be there all the time.
You don't have a scheduled time. You don't have a time where you can switch off. Me and Arinda have still not gone on our honeymoon, and we got married over a year ago, and that's genuinely just because of time. That's not his fault. It's not my fault. That's just time. We're not able to take that time out right now.
We don't have paid time off. We don't have non-paid time off. We just don't have time off unless we build our business to the extent where we can take time off.
And when we do take time off, that's us taking the risk of our business. Potentially things aren't in order, but potentially just something happening, or us not making as many sales that week, or whatever it might be. But you just always have that fear, and you're always, even when you are away, you're still thinking about work. You still have to be on your phone. Like, it's, I don't know, that's what I think.
You have to take the hit of thousands of dollars sometimes, sometimes more, sometimes, again, it's not just, oh yeah, I'm not going to get paid for a week or something, right? It's like, I may decrease my revenue, or something might happen. There might be fires that you need to put out, and you're still having to, like, I still have to connect my data everywhere, so that in case something happens, whenever we do go on a trip, at least I know and I'm able to solve it in case I need to, right? Again, unless you build your business to the point where you get that level of freedom, but you also run the risk, not run the risk, but then that amount of time you need to evaluate, like, oh, is it worth me taking this time off to be a little further from this goal, or push this goal back a little bit? So I think that's a
What about you?
It's a good one. It's a good one, Penny.
Thanks, Rinder.
I think people glamorize the amount of money you're gonna make, right? Because 100,000 is not 100,000 in business, right? If you get paid 100,000 in salary and someone makes 100,000 in business, that might not be like for our business, for example, like even more than 100,000 is not even enough to cover our expenses in the business, right? Way more than 100,000. Like it's like some people, like you start thinking differently because it's like money is just not the same, right? You might get left with, for some businesses, 5%, 10, 15, 20. If you're a good business, 30%, you're going to have a net profit. So for you to make, 100,000, you need 300,000, right? So I think that's what it is. I think people glamorize, it must be nice, having a business and you get to make blah, blah, blah money. But how much of that money do you actually see, is so much more important, like versus how much your gross revenue is. Because gross revenue does not tell anything in a business at all.
Yeah. No, I 100% agree.
I think that's mine.
Yeah. Okay, next question. If you could relive one day in your 20s, what would it be?
I read this question earlier.
Oh, you weren't supposed to.
This is a funny answer for me because I feel like... Wait, you say
Can
first.
I answer first?
Yeah, you answer first because I'm not going to answer the same thing. Yours going to be all lovey-dovey in mine.
It is. It really is.
Oh, yeah.
Mine would be a day... Oh my gosh, this is quite emotional. Mine would be a day with all my siblings and
Damn,
my
you're not going to
parents.
see our wedding? Damn.
No,
Damn.
I love you, okay? I'm with you every day.
Okay.
And our wedding was a very, very special day. But mine would be a day, like a regular day, a weekend, let's say, Saturday, with all my siblings at home before we got married, and my mom and dad, and just us having a normal day. I wish I could relive a day like that again, because I don't remember the last day that we were together in the house, and that makes me really sad. And I feel like I don't know. Yeah, when my family came here for our wedding, though, that was so fun.
Yeah,
that was so fun
everyone was
because we
just
were all
around.
just like in one house, and we had the best time.
Yeah. I think I have like weird ones. I have a few that are just like...
Okay, but you have to pick one.
Okay, but I have a few.
No, you have to pick one, Rinder.
I think growing up as a basketball fan, and like just watching the Toronto Raptors since I was like 4 years old, like them winning the championship was like crazy. That's one. I'm going to name a few. I think me winning my first Bhangra competition, that was a big one.
Yeah. That was in your 20s?
Yeah. Yeah, I was 20. I was 20 for both of them.
Oh, okay.
I was just 20. Obviously, us getting married was a big one. I've really enjoyed like our trips.
Yeah,
like
our
a lot
trips
of
have been
yeah,
so
like
fun.
I feel like when we go on trips, like they've just been.
We have
really,
such a good time. We've not been on like a bad trip at all. Ever.
Yeah. So it's just like I think those would be like what I would go back to.
Yeah.
So if you're like us and you're in your 20s or 30s, learn to live and enjoy while building towards your goals.
Yeah.
And don't give up either, right? You don't have to choose one or the other, and enjoy your life a little bit.
Yeah, so that was episode 3 of the Perspectiv Podcast. If you guys have any suggestions on some topics that you want us to talk about, list them down in the comments, but we'll see you next Monday.